All right, guys, I just want to welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today, I'll be doing my preview and prediction for Week 12 contest in the AAC between USF and Navy. Bulls, 10.5-point road favorites, 64.5 the total, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2 from Annapolis, Maryland. Getting things started with that USF offense on the Navy defense. For the Bulls, this is a team this year that I felt coming in the conference play would be dominant on the ground, but to the tune of 301 yards per game, 6.2 yards per attempt. I definitely did not expect that type of success this year. And it's just been great for them on a weekly basis. They lost that game on the road to Memphis where they blew a big lead or they got a little complacent, and that caused them to ultimately fall by 3 points. But the run game's been ultra consistent. They even have a 400-yard game in there as well against Charlotte to kick off conference play. Ever since then, it's been a very consistent approach. And they don't even really have a true running back one. It's been a by-committee approach. Nakia Davenport leading the way with 397 and 5 scores. Sam Franklin, Alvon Isaac have all been getting involved as well. Byron Brown at quarterback, of course, is the headliner. He leads the team with 705 and 9 touchdowns. His skills as a runner are ridiculous. He's 6'3", 232. He has the size matched with skills and just overall great natural feel as a runner. As a passer this year, he's having a great year. 65% comp rate, 245 yards per game passing, 19 touchdowns, relatively been clean with only 6 interceptions as well. That game against Charlotte was a little inconsistent from him from an accuracy standpoint, but other than that, I think he's been quite good at throwing the football. And they've been great when it comes to creating big plays downfield. This year has seen some different guys get involved, younger guys in Jeremiah Koger, Christian Neptune. They've been tremendous for this football team. You have a veteran, Keyshawn Singleton. He's been the big-time playmaker for this team, 573 and 5 touchdowns. You have Chaz Nimrod, who you're hoping will hopefully be back at some point for USF. He's been a very impressive player for this team. I really don't know what his injury status is, but he's been also a great player for them, 20 yards per catch from Nimrod. But they've had these other guys step up in the passing attacks done just well. You have a defense for Navy that really has not been this good in conference play. Even before they started AAC games, they were not good against Air Force, gave up 460 yards. It was ultimately a win. They had a 1-point victory at Temple, had 500-plus yards. FAU was throwing it all over them. Of course, they were playing from behind. And then against North Texas, it was really hard for them to generate many stops. The Notre Dame game, of course, was tough, but you kind of expected that. There's just such a big gap in terms of size and talent that, they can't really compete with the Irish. Ended up losing by 39 in that one, giving up 500-plus yards. So really, it's just important to focus on what they do in conference play. And it's really not all that great, but it's not the worst group in the world. I think they can definitely be competitive in some games when it comes to stopping the run. But against a high-powered offense like this, they're likely going to struggle. I think they have some good players up front. Landon Robinson and those guards, 7.5 tackles for loss, about 290 pounds from him is what he's bringing to the table. Griffin Willis has been really impressive. I like some of these linebackers. Luke Pierce, outside linebacker. Mark Anthony Parker, he's the top player on this defense, 70 tackles. He's also got a pick and 6 tackles for loss. Navy, of course, is going to play hard when it comes to discipline and whatnot. They're going to give a nice physical effort. But in terms of schematics, it's going to be hard to topple this group, especially when it comes to the pace that USF is going to look to establish on the ground. If you watch USF, they like to work slashing run game between the tackles. They like to go fast, and it allows them to attack downfield as you're not fully set and you can't really adjust or get substitutions out there. So USF is very tough to contain. I don't know if Navy's going to really have the depth or the overall skill to be able to limit them when it comes to running the football, because that's how you're going to have to start. That's how you're going to beat USF. Even though this year, early on in the season, they beat Boise State and Florida without really having to run the football that much. That just shows you how good this team can be and their ability to win in different facets. For Navy, their pass defense has been pretty sluggish this year, 116th nationally. It's been a poor secondary. Justin Ross at corner has been not great. Irabani Inia has been a little bit better, but he's been very inconsistent as a tackler. I think you look in the slot, Jackson Campbell. He's been a respectable player for him. He gets targeted a lot, gives up a nice reception percentage. And then, at safety, these guys are really going to struggle probably to cover as center fielders against all this speed. So for Navy, it's going to be hard for them to win this game with their defense playing the way it's been this year. So they're going to have to step up against their run, create a lot of negative plays, and put USF behind the sticks, and you're probably ultimately going to have to find some pass rush as well. But ultimately, I think it comes down to tackling in space, especially Byron Brown. He's just incredibly elusive, and he's phenomenal picking up 10-plus yard plays, evading pressure on third downs, and picking up the marker. Very tough in all regards for USF. Going to the other side of things, that Navy offense against the USF defense, the best potential defense the Midshipmen could have in this game, look good on offense and dominate the clock. You're going to hope that Blake Horvath will be back for this game. Ended up not playing against Notre Dame. I think they probably knew it was going to happen in this contest, so maybe they just decided to sit him out with some injuries he's been dealing with. I don't know the full extent of what's going on with him. I anticipate he'll be back. I feel like the line would potentially be a little bit closer, though, at open if we had more clarity on his status. I mean, nonetheless, 20 touchdowns this year for him. He gives them great balance because Navy typically not a team that throws the football all that well, but the last two seasons of him under center, it's been great, and it's been even better this year. He's passing for about 143 yards per game, which is great when you can run for what they do, which is 305 yards per contest. He leads the way with 926 and 13 touchdowns. Alex Tegza, a great running back. Eli Heinrich having a great year, 357 yards on the ground, 595 and 4 touchdowns receiving. Pretty unreal production for a triple option offense. They have modernized it a little bit, right? It's not all pure triple option. They like to do a variety of different things in terms of formations. It's not basically the same thing on every play like you're accustomed to seeing, and it's led to a lot of success for Navy the last couple of seasons. Brandon Chapman's also another veteran running back that has also 357 yards, about 8 yards per attempt for him. So it's an explosive rushing attack. Even against North Texas, they got off to a slow start. They got into the red zone a lot and were unable to score. Is definitely very disappointed in their performance at the end of the day. Getting to the short yardage and being able to just continue long drives is where Navy is going to look to thrive. The problem is USF is a really good defense, especially when it comes to defending the run. I don't think this is a joke of a group one bit. I think they're legitimately good. Alex Golosho the last couple of years has built up this group for Todd Orlando to work with. Some inconsistencies when it comes to tackling in the whole, but they still have a nice deep group. Josh Salazar is a good pass rusher. Trevion Mitchell's been a good run defender. Jannard Flowers as well. Devin Lee and DJ Harris, I think, provide some solid play. Rico Watson's also a very good run defender. I mean, they're pretty deep, right? And I think at linebacker, it's one of the top duos in the country. These guys are multi-year starters. Mac Harris playing out of his mind this year. He's probably going to be Defensive Player of the Year in this conference. Having a great year against the run. He's also been very valuable in coverage. 75 tackles. Has an interception. He returned for a touchdown. 6 sacks. Couple of forced fumbles. He does a little bit of everything. Alongside him, Jalen Schuler's really taken a back seat, but he also provides equally as impressive play. He's got an interception, returned a fumble for a touchdown, has 7 pass breakups, showcasing some length. That's at 6'3", 230. So I love these linebackers. I think they're going to be up to the challenge of slowing down this run game. And I think it's a nice challenge overall for USF. I know they're probably not going to face anything like this again, especially if they make the playoffs. So at the end of the day, is it really going to be a great measure of success? I think it certainly can be, just showcasing, their instincts and their eye discipline. And if they can out-scheme opponents who have a great advantage typically when it comes to running these triple options. So I think there's a lot to learn here for USF. This pass defense this year, I think it's a bit skewed. They're ranked towards the bottom, 131st in college football, but these teams have been playing from behind all year against USF, trying to play catch up. Other than Miami, of course, it's a team that they're able to do their thing that day through the air. But in conference play, they've done well. North Texas started off hot early. USF had a couple of turnovers that allowed them to have to play from behind in that first half, and then ultimately UNT was really shut down and being able to be consistent. Ended up being a 30-point loss. FAU had almost 300 yards getting blown out. Memphis, they were playing from behind, and ultimately they ended up winning that game. So maybe it's a little concerning. And then UTSA also had 300 plus. They were down like 30 points at halftime. So I think this pass defense is really not that bad. I think early in games, they're really good, and that allows them to get these big leads, and they start giving up chunks. Deshaun Rucker having a good year. James Chenault, Jonas DeColona, that is. I think he's probably their best corner overall. In the slot, Jarvis Lee's not a bad player. I think he's a really good run defender as well. Fred Gaskin's a nice playmaker. And then Taven Ward at safety, I think, is overall maybe their best player in the entire secondary. Great in coverage. So I don't think the secondary is really that bad. I think the pass defense numbers are certainly skewed. They have 11 interceptions. They're able to create takeaways, 19 on the year, one of the higher marks in the nation. So good defense here from USF. I think they're going to be up for the challenge of slowing down this run game, but time of possession will be everything for Navy. Looking at the final analysis and the prediction, I think for USF, this is a team that they're going to be hard to slow down regardless of who they play in this conference, regardless of really who they play at all if they end up in the CFB. So I think this is a very tough scheme. Their run game is great. The quarterback is very mature, and he's making a lot of phenomenal plays this season. On the road at Navy could definitely be tricky, especially since USF has had some turnover problems of their own this year. They had 4 against Charlotte that they lost. They also had 3 against North Texas. So, I mean, they've really calmed down since then. Only 1 each over the last 2 games. But that could be a problem for them, right? Some turnovers that leads to a slow start, and that could definitely benefit Navy. I don't think ultimately that's what's going to happen. I think Navy will also be playing from behind, and they'll showcase some of their explosiveness from time to time. and playing from behind just forces you to level up a little bit, and that causes Navy to score a couple of points. As 10.5-point dogs, I have them losing by 10, so play that if you wish. I think being at home certainly makes them a very viable bet. I think overall the total is in play here. Full game over 64.5. I think it's going to be the best bet. USF's going to get the job done. This is a good team, very good. Really, just them shooting themselves in the foot is the biggest problem, and I'd like to think they're going to grow out of that at some point. They've been very inconsistent in that regard. That's the only problem with USF, though. So I think even when they're doing that, they're still very viable when it comes to getting the job done. So they're going to avoid this bit of a trap game here. Obviously, it's a big game in the AAC when it comes to them getting to the conference championship game. So USF to get the job done here. A lot of points in this one. It's going to be a for this episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.